the people who played it, because their stories were some of the most important. Walt Disney's film Davy Crockett and the Wild Frontier. I think Manco's in the dance scene about 20 minutes into the film, playing the fiddle. Wow. That's what I've been told anyway. Yeah, when you get a chance to see those fiddlers, it's so much more wonderful than just hearing them, because you can see how they use their bow.
Today I'm going to do a name that tune.
Has been coming to this festival as well as I have, and she played a lot with JP, and she and Barb especially, and Linda absorbed a lot of JP's music and his style and his sweetness and his smoothness and his harmony playing. That's all I'm going to say about you.
Their mandolin player very well. He was the proprietor of the local radio station, and so James, the mandolin player, kept telling me, you know, you need to learn this tune that Joe Dry wrote. It's called Tommy's Waltz. I think when I get done, if JP were here, he would say, that's higher than a poor man's grocery bill.
Bobby Taylor from West Virginia. You go to Cliff Top, you see Bobby organizing that. Are you retired now?
I'm retired, but they wouldn't let me retire from that. I think I'll talk about the tune here. I'm going to try to play a tune that Dad always talked about. And he talked about the bowing on this, which I will never know what he was talking about. He said, it's going to be Cabin Creek. I'm going to try to play that. But I'm going to try to get some of what I think he was referring to when he said they sounded like they were playing with shuffles going every direction. Very smooth, flute-like E of Amati. I want the open A of Stradivari, and I want the D and G of Joseph Guarneri. Dark, deep, but a full spectrum of sound. Even genuine Guarneris will have a tendency to be a little harsh on the E, and Strads are shallow over there. So when he made this, he said, I think I made your fiddle. I didn't own it in 1983 when I brought it on trial to the Fraley family gathering. But the sound is...
County, who played, well, among all the other people he played with, Snake Chapman and more recently Paul David Smith, and Jimmy teaches at Cowan Creek every year. And, oh Lord, talk about fiddles.
What I was doing was making aircraft parts out of this carbon fiber using the infusion method with a lot of vacuum. And so all the airplane parts I would take out would reproduce me touching it, just rubbing the side of it. It would make a sound. Even rubbing my thumb down the edge of it, it would read my thumbprint and make us reproduce it. And I told my friend Brian Alley that we ought to make a violin or fiddle, whichever you prefer, out of this material. So I did, and this is it. It's the first experiment. It's an experimental fiddle, and it's a prototype or proof of concept, whatever you want to call it, but I dearly love it. And so I'm going to play a tune that I go up and down Tug River to work them back every week. And J.P. Fraley years ago did the same route in traveling back and forth to his work in the coal business. And he named his tune after this town, which is right on the Mingo County line there, right next to Kermit, and it's called Step Town. So I'll try my best to play Step Town.
They recorded a fiddler here from Breathitt County named Ed Morrison. And I'm going to play one of his tunes called We'll All Get to Heaven When the Devil Goes Blind. He likes tunes that surprise him. They have little hooks in them. And, I thought, oh yeah. But that's the difference in variety in fiddle styles and fiddle music. But I'm going to play a version of Martha Campbell for you. This is a tune. It's a version of Martha Campbell by a fiddle player named Carlton Rawlings. It's an example of how a really good creative fiddle player takes his own particular take on just a regular old fiddle tune. Bill Ray, the old river pilot, was out there entertaining us this morning with some of his river stories. He's writing a book that's going to be the sequel to Life on the Mississippi. Why we don't get more tunes in is because people like him and Jimmy McCown and all these storytellers get out there. And I left them yesterday. They said, we're going to go in the lodge and we're going to play. So I go in the lodge. I think they're all going to follow me, and I go in there and I'm by myself. So a bunch of other people come up and play with me. I come back an hour and a half later and they're still standing there talking.
So I was going to play a tune that I learned from John, and then realized I just couldn't play it worth a dang. And so then I was going to play a tune, and so I finally just realized that I thought I'm going to do a tune that I've never done here before, and it's not really a tune that I learned from any particular one fiddler. I'm going to do an old tune back in the 19th century, the Boatman's Dance.
Coming to this festival even longer. Longer than time.
First time at Rainbow Lake. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's been a while.
Yeah.
I got to know Bard pretty well back in the 60s and through most of the 70s.
I could tell you stories on him all the time, but I'm not going to. It'd take too long. Yeah, I could tell you about that too, and I could tell you in the jam sessions up at the Shindig on the Green in Asheville. Every time he's in a jam session, when he was in his late 70s, he'd see a good-looking young gal go by, and he'd look at her and he'd grin real big, and if she smiled back at him, we're going to play Bonaparte's Retreat next. And he said, what are you talking about? Well, we get through with that song we were playing in this big group, and somebody would say, let's play Ragtime Annie, and Bart said, no, let's play Bonaparte's Retreat. And he'd grab that fiddle and he'd start out, met the girl I love, and he'd look at her right square in the face and grin big as he could. And I don't know if it ever did him any good or not, but that wasn't any of my business. I learned a lot from him and from JP. They were my two biggest inspirations. I was a guitar player that got tired of telling people I'd play everything except the fiddle.
I tried to decide between a J.P. Fraley tune and an Eastern Kentucky tune. I couldn't decide between them, so I flipped a coin, and this year it came out Eastern Kentucky. Maybe next time I'll play J.P. Fraley. A week ago I didn't know this tune. It's called Ways of the World, but it's the same tune.
He made a great fiddle tune out of it. He makes a great fiddle tune out of every fiddle tune he plays, but I'm not saying you have to play Casey Jones.
My history with this instrument goes back to really early in my life. And then I met Bobby Taylor, and the rest is history. But I'm going to play a version of Bumblebee in a Jug that I learned from Dan Geller. And it's in the key of F, and I think originally it's in C, but most people play it in B. And it just fits in F really perfectly because of the way that the octaves split over the instrument.
Really cool when it happens when you put something else in. Don't play it in B. That's just an avoidance of playing it in C. Which, you're in time. Always remember you got to get here early because there's only so many.